Hello everyone, how you doing with the module? I hope everything is going well and I hope you're enjoying things that we're doing so far. And what I want to do today, I want to talk to you about, I want to give you first good news. And the good news is that the deadline for the first individual report has been extended to the 4th April. And therefore you've got one more week, well, more than a week to actually work on an individual report. So that's the good news. And the second good news is the one that I'm just going to give you now, is the fact that I'm going to give you an additional guideline on completing your first individual report. Now I want to go through two things in here. While opening, just open the file here, the guideline that I've already provided and sent to you, while I can compare on some of the things that you need to do. Okay? Now, first things first, let's just kind of start to look into the overall structure and what you need to do. The first thing to keep in mind is that we want you to introduce the work, so we want you to tell us exactly what is that you're trying to do with this work, and also which is the company that you picked to look after. Okay, so that's your introduction, where you're going to be telling us exactly more about pretty much the reason that you're choosing this company and how you decided to choose this company and why that is an important element to do. And you need to write all of it in third person. So that's your introduction. In the findings, of course, what you need to do, as you've done the research, you've collected data and information. All those data and that information need to be presented in your findings, and those data can be around, depending on the things that you're looking, can be around customer support, usability, accessibility, landing pages, e-commerce components or e-commerce customer journey, marketing, messenger marketing efforts, and things like that. All of those findings all of those information that you have identified can be presented into findings. In addition to that, it's really important to do three things when you do the research. One is to look after the company. So look after the company, scan the company well, understand as much as you can. The second, try to understand competitors as much as possible inside out. And third, do the reading and do the literature, which includes the books, reports, white papers, and things like that. So with three elements put in place, you'll have lots of information to present in your findings around different elements or components of e-commerce. Once you've done that, then what you need to do, you need to move to your analysis. And this is the place where you're going to start to chop things and do the analysis and be critical. So you're going to pick up different components from your findings that you have presented into your analysis for further examination. And this is when you're going to be very critical about different approaches on a company and what competitors are doing, and also presenting the literature to back up your arguments. This is going to be really important because, remember, in the analysis, you get 40 marks for it, so you really have to get this right, otherwise you'll be missing out a huge chunk of marks in here. You don't want to do that. And of course, as a result of your analysis that you've been through, you're coming up with themes and ideas and suggestions that are going to be your conclusions. And therefore, that's when you start to conclude things, which is pretty much a juice of everything that you've done so far. So you're introducing the work, you're presenting your key findings on different components of e-commerce websites, you're analyzing these findings further, you are bringing in the literature review and the papers that you've read in there, and then as a result of your analysis, you are coming up with conclusions and recommendations that flow and derive from your analysis. So that's the most important bit. So as you can see, it needs to flow well. It needs to be written in third person. It needs to be professional. It needs to be really checked. And please make sure you don't submit a draft without getting to a final version of your work. Now, if we start looking at some of the things that might be a bit more confusing to you, depending on the terms that we've used, and if I go back to this file that I've uploaded for you, I'm going to go just point by point just to make it clear to you again. The appropriate e-commerce solution with a company's strategic objectives. So in other words, If you were going to build an e-commerce website but not assess one, this is when you're going to tell us which is the most appropriate e-commerce solutions to use, and that could be Magento, it could be Shopify, it could be Ticktail, or things like that. But that is if you choose to build one yourself. If you choose to assess a company for your individual report, then that's the thing that's the point where you're gonna talk about. You're going to present it, but you can't really know too much about e-commerce platform because the company won't share it. The second point, which is effective e-commerce analysis in company context, is pretty much to tell us how well you have understood all the components of e-commerce website and how appropriate are those within your business, okay, that you've chosen. The next point is the contribution of e-commerce that makes through the whole business cycle. So as you know, e-commerce is seen as an opportunity now to build up an extra income or to build another opportunity for businesses, and therefore it plays an important role for the business. And so when you talk about this in your analysis, you will cover this point because you will talk about the importance of e-commerce brings to the business and makes to the overall profits and revenues of the business. The fourth point, write a business report that examines the opportunity of strategic improvement in current business practice. That pretty much means a report that has examined different components of e-commerce websites while analyzing them and then recommending things that are important for the business. So in other words, it's always showing the process that you will go through in your analysis where you examine different components and the data from your research to improve the current business practice and in general a current business that you have chosen. And then the last point, the assess importance of e-commerce concept and organization future development. So in other words, with this point, you're trying to see how important it is the current presence of e-commerce for the future development of the company. So as a result of your findings, your analysis that you've done, you're picking up with themes that are going to be absolutely essential for the future development of the company, and that's the point that of course you will cover in your analysis as well, and then further in your conclusions where you will come with those recommendations. So I don't think there is anything else I wanted to talk to you about, but as you know, it's 2,000 words, 10% plus minus, so it can be 1,800 words or 2,200 words, but don't go above that because really it's, as you know, we won't be marking if it goes above that. So I think that is probably the key things to be thinking about when I talk about features. For some of you in here that might not be aware of it, features are pretty much components of e-commerce websites, like checkout process, track your shipping, basket updates during the customer shopping experience and things like that. So don't be confused with that. Are those features, those points in the website that makes that customer journey more enjoyable, that customer journey more effective as well to achieve higher conversion rate. So I think that's pretty much it. I hope that was useful to you. I was going to talk about this in the lecture as well, but I thought I'll create a video for you. So don't forget, it's a very simple thing. You introduce your work and you tell us whether you have built an e-commerce website or you have assessed one. And if you assess one, you chose one. If you created an e-commerce website, you created a business online. So, and then you will tell us the reason why you've done one or the other. In the findings, you will go and talk about the industry. You'll talk about the competitors. You'll talk about the literature that you have found. But you present in there. You don't necessarily analyze, but you just present it well, that it reads well. Then you move on into the analysis. In the analysis, you will start to analyze all those features, all those components of e-commerce websites in conjunction with the data that you found from your customers, in conjunction with the data that you found from your competitors and the literature review as well. And then as a result of that, you're building your conclusions and recommendations for that specific business, or if it's your business that you've created, it could be a conclusion, recommendations for the future of your e-commerce business that you have already created. So I hope that was useful to you. Please let me know. Thank you very much indeed, and I'll see you Friday.